All right, Discipoli, this is my favorite part of the storm passage. It's all good, but today's lines would be Thursday's lines, and those are going to be 118 to 131. Note, per the email text, we did have a quiz scheduled for Monday. That's going to be pushed to Tuesday. That may affect the number of lines we do on Monday and Tuesday, but I do plan to be caught up to 209 by the end of next week as well, to stick weekly with our agenda. So no quiz on Monday. Hopefully I'll see you in the classroom on Monday, and then we'll take that quiz on Tuesday. But this is just an encouragement to go back over previous lines, right? We've covered 117 lines so far, 130 by the end of this, and good to know them. All right, so this is a good passage. As always, you can pause this video anytime and try to figure out stuff on your own and then check your work, but I'm always going to read to a solid punctuation. Ad parent rates, and things stand out to me, like probably my subjects. In Gurgite Wasto, Arma Virum Tabulae et Troia Gaza per Undas. And these are a lot of things that maybe could be subjects. And it would make sense because like all of these things ad parent, which may be even spelled with the assimilation of the consonant in your text as apparent, right, from appareo. So to appear, a bunch of things appear in the vast whirlpool. This is a whirlpool. Gurges is a whirlpool. Vortex is a whirlpool. Gurges is like a gurgly thing. It's an onomatopoeia. It's a thing that regurgitates. Oh, dictionary, what do you say? Whirlpool. Whirlpool. Eddy. That's fun. So some things appear. Nantes is a participle, technically, but we're going to translate this as scattered swimmers. Like few and far between, sort of rare. Not rare, like you don't see them, but like actually they're out there. They're just like scattered. Scattered swimming boys, right? Scattered swimmers. Oh, but they were on a boat. Rip, right? No, they're still alive, right? They're swimming. Scattered swimmers appear in the Gurgite Wasto, and so do the Arma of Virum. Virum short for virorum, right? Men's Arma. And tabulae, which could be tablets, but really it's any sort of board. And so we're talking about pieces of a ship here. Planks or boards would be fine too, but not like a surfboard, right? Like an actual board from a ship. So Arma Virum, hey, that reminds me of like the whole subject of this book. That's funny. Except this time it's Arma Virorum instead of a true Arma Virum que, right? So these things appear, and these things appear, and so do these things, and so do Trojan jewels or gems throughout or across or over the waves. Oh man, this is a wreckage scene. Now, walidam ileonii nawem, and that's probably an object, yam, and with a genitive attached to it. Yam fortis acati, that looks genitive, maybe it's also a nawem, et qua feminine, referring back to probably a nawis, vectus, we need a verb in our relative clause, so like vectus est, et qua, this one doesn't have a verb at all, so we're going to borrow the vectus est again. Wicket he aims, pause. I got ahead of myself in translating while still reading to a solid punctuation, but noticing my things, right? Noticing is important. Now, wicket he aims, subject, verb, all the way at the end. The storm or winter. I think we saw this in Caesar, but he aims is the word for winter, but it's also the stormy season, especially at sea, right? You're not supposed to sail in the winter time on the open sea. So winter or a winter storm. The storm conquers some things, or actually it's weaket, it's perfect tense, has already or has now conquered. Weeny, weedy, weaky, right? The strong ship of Ilioneus. Hey, shouldn't that be the ship of strong Ilioneus? I don't know. Maybe it's a transferred epithet. Maybe the ship is what's strong and Ilioneus isn't. I don't know. So the storm has already conquered the strong ship of Ilioneus, or has now. I like now for the repetition because we get yam twice, and when we repeat a word for emphasis, it's called anaphora. So now the storm has conquered the strong ship of Ilioneus. Now that of, or the strong ship of brave Achates. And notice this time the adjective does go with the man, whereas this one went with the ship. And the one on which or by which Abbas is conveyed or was transported. And the one on which aged or old Aletes was transported or was conveyed, right? Weho, wehere, wexi, wectum is our word where we get like conveyance. Convey. Laxis, laterum, well, that looks ablative. Laterum looks genitive. We saw that that's a us ris noun, so genitive plural, third declension ending. Laxis probably goes with compagibus. Omnes accipiunt inimicum imbrem rimisque fatiscunt, verb. All right. Omnes looks like my subject. They all take on an object, hostile or unfriendly reign. And they split open, they fatiscunt, they crack open, they gape. They split open at their cracks, right? These are like, cracks in a ship's material. But the stuff before it is it's probably with ablative absolute, with the joints of their sides having been loosened, with their side joints. And these are joints, I'm really bad at drawing, but like when you build a ship, you essentially build it on like a rib cage form, right? And then you put planks, all connecting all these things, and then it ends up looking like a ship. I should probably pull up an image, but that's good enough. So these are the the side joints, where two boards would be connected together, I guess. So they all take on hostile reign and split open in cracks or at their cracks, with the joints of their sides having been loosened. Inter rea magno misceri murmure ponsum emissam qui hiemem sensit ne. Oh, this is where he comes in. Et imi stagna refusa vadis graviter comotus. That looks like it's describing him also. We're going to make Neptune angry. Meanwhile, right? So the ships are all crashing and splitting apart. Meanwhile, Neptune, subject, sensed that, I need an indirect statement, right? That the sea was being mixed up, right? Was being jumbled up with a big rumble. And what else did he sense? That a storm had been sent out. He's like, what's all this rumbling up above? There's a storm. I didn't call it. Right, that's my Neptune voice. Et imi stagna refusa vadis. Stagna refusa vadis graviter comotus et alto. Okay, cool. The stagna refusa are singular, so like not a long. Is stagna neuter? Oh man, I'm a discipulus and or a discipula, and I need to know, is it nominative singular feminine, or is it nominative or accusative plural neuter? It is from stagnum, not an alloy of silver or tin, but a pool, a lake, a lagoon, all of those things. So, probably also he sensed, right, that the shallows had been refusa, neuter plural accusative, that the shallow waters had been poured out from the bottom of the that pools had been poured out from the bottom of the shallows. Yeah, that makes sense. Gravely disturbed, we're gonna want to throw in with Neptune at the beginning. And all of this is in a really, really jumbled up word order, and you're probably thinking to yourself, like, yeah, like that, this is a little bit more jumbled up than normal Latin poetry in the 125 lines I've read so far. And that's intentional to mirror the jumbliness of the storm, right? Everything's being miscarried here. You're noticing it as a reader. Neptune is noticing it as king of the sea, right? So Neptune, having been gravely upset or disturbed, sensed, meanwhile, Neptune, gravely disturbed, sensed that the sea was being jumbled up with a great rumble, and that a storm emissam esse had been sent out, and that stagna refusa, that pools had been poured out from the bottom of the shallows. Et alto prospiciens, sounds like it's describing my boy Neptune, also summa placidum caput ex tulit unda. Looks like summa's going with unda, placidum's going with or caput, and then I got a verb here. And that's a solid punctuation there, right? And looking out, right? Prospiciens, looking out from the deep. He afere ex tuli ex latum. He brought his calm head out, right? He brought his calm head out from the top of a wave. And that is a chiasmus with an ex tulit in the middle. He lifted his head up. Disiectam aeneae toto videt aequore classem fluctibus oppressos Troias caelique ruina nec latuere doli fratrem Eunonis et ira. Hey, that sounds like Eunonis ob Iram from the beginning of this book I've been reading. That's almost like we just saw Arma Virum. Crazy recollection of the introduction of the text. Disiectam looks like it's in the accusative case. And what's it describing? Oh, probably this over here. And Aeneas in the genitive going with it. So the scattered fleet of Aeneas, classis, a fleet. The scattered fleet of Aeneas is my object. Toto looks like it goes with aequore, and then he sees the fleet of Aeneas scattered over the whole sea. I like to put the disiectam with the toto aequore. It makes the most sense. That makes toto aequore out of a place where, or like respect, or, kind of a weird specification, right? Scattered specifically over the whole sea. It's kind of fun. Oppressos, the oppressed Trojans. This is a list without a and, right? And the Trojans having been oppressed by the waves, right? Putting that all together. And ruina ablative here by scansion, oppressed by the waves and by the ruin of the sky and by the destruction or the downfall of the sky. So he sees the wreckage, right? He sees the fleet of Aeneas scattered over the whole sea, and he sees the Trojans overcome or overwhelmed, more so than oppressed, by the waves and by the destruction of the sky. And not nec, short for neque, something doesn't happen. Latuere, with that third principal part form, and then an era, it has to be short for latu erunt, making doli my subject. The tricks did not deceive the brother, but then I've got of Juno. And I could say the tricks of Juno did not deceive her brother, or I could say the tricks did not deceive the brother of Juno. It's technically closer to brother, but it makes more sense for it to be the tricks. But et irae is nominative plural, also subject. And the tricks and the angers of Juno did not deceive her brother. And the tricks and the angers did not deceive the brother of Juno. I like it to be the tricks and angers of Juno. Up to you as translator. And that's it for today.